Today, Walsall is rich in diversity and culture, but have you ever wondered why people came from different parts of the world to settle in Walsall? The Asian Heritage Project tells a story of the life experiences of people who decided to leave their homeland, embarking on a journey of many miles in order to better themselves. It tells why people came to this country, how they found work and housing, relaxed and enjoyed their leisure time and made friends. There were many reasons why Asians decided to migrate to Britain. People came for economic reasons, for further education, due to peer pressure, and in response to job adverts asking people to come and work in Britain. Male immigrants came first with the intention of making their fortunes and returning home. This did not happen, and instead of pavements paved with gold, the reality for immigrants was a hard slog with difficult living and working conditions. This did not deter them, and as it was going to take much longer to make money, they invited families and friends to join them. In Walsall, the majority of South Asian immigrants in the early 60s came from Punjab and Gujarat in India, Mirpur in Pakistan and Sylhet in Bangladesh. Later on, immigrants arrived from East Africa due to the political changes there. In 1972, Idi Amin expelled Asians from Uganda, some of whom were allowed to settle in Britain.
We were coming to England. We were studying. When we were studying, we were thinking that so many people like big names, Nehru and family, and Maharaja Kapurthala family, Patiala family, and a lot of other people gone to England for study, higher study. That was my reason. I had the entry in Austin University to come to England to study. I came on a study basis. One thing was excitement, and to the other side, as the girls leave the parents, and I was leaving my villagers and my friends the same way. I left them crying, and I cried. My heart was there, but I was excited that I'm going for higher education, get the higher education, and I promised my villagers, my friends, all that I will come back and I will share all my thoughts with you, what I have done, and serve you with my knowledge, with my study, and come back to you.
I never, thought I'm going to England. Now, never, prepared myself. Even on the last day, I was still thinking, "Am I going?" Oh, it's when people start to go, then others follow and they say, "Oh, everybody is going." Well, let's go and try. Sort of adventure. Not planned, like English people planned. They want to go Australia. They want to find all this information before they go. But we just, I think we were, what happened, when 1962, first Immigration Act was passed, they said no more people can come, only people with, special vouchers, they can come.
Well, that's everybody has got its own, reasons and the background. I was called by the Muslim community of Walsall. I responded, and I thought, yes, I shall work for the community in Walsall, and with this inspiration I came, and I'm happy. I'm the same. As for the same purpose I was called for, and I'm here.
Well, I was happy to come to England, but I was very sad leaving my children over there. I used to cry. I came over here, but I used to cry every day. Even when I used to eat, the food wouldn't go down because thinking how the children was. But I had no choice, because I wanted them to have a better life, what I had. And that's why I left the children with some of my other family. and I came over here. But
When did the children join you?
after they joined me after 2 years, when we bought our house, because I couldn't bring them in the attic. And well, we didn't have no much money then, so we had to provide for them. You know, we had to work and gather money. So it was very hard because people didn't know us here. The English people didn't know us, and you know they didn't know whether to trust you or not.
When I got married, my husband said I would like to go abroad for further education. And I was teaching already there. And I said, I'll join you and I'll help you. So we were still both on leave, really, from our jobs. So, but when we came here, I got pregnant in no time at all. So things started to develop from there. We never went back.
Nobody likes to leave his own country, his family, the side where one is born. But the condition was such that our new country came in the throes of military dictatorship. Basic human rights were denied, and when there is no democracy, there is no social justice. Who is powerful, he can take everything, and if you are not strong enough, you are nobody in such a country. So I also, when I migrated, my father also passed away, and I was the mainstay of my family, and all the social responsibilities were on my shoulder. So when one should love one's country, but when there is no hope and equal opportunity to prosper and to grow, one should not tie to one side. One should look somewhere else, because universe is so vast. So go where things are better. Like
Right. You see, in 1963 they got Uhuru, independence in Kenya. African took over the whole Kenya colony, you know. And those days my father was in business, but in 1971 they wanted our shop. This African wanted our shop, you see, and we were British subject, and that's why they want to take over that. So because we got no right to a further license to run that business, so that was the reason we just have to wind up and give the business to Africans, and we have to come over in the quota vouchers.
Many Asians chose to come to Walsall because of employment opportunities. As more communities were established, they attracted more families and friends. Employers quickly realized the potential these people had, and some companies gave vouchers to their employees so that they could sponsor other people.
Working, which is my work, I had a very hard time. I had to go to 3 or 4 schools a day, because that was my part of my job, to conduct assemblies, Muslim assemblies in junior and comprehensive school. Joseph Lecky today is community technical college. It used to be the grammar school. I know every history of every comprehensive and junior school within the borough.
I've been in the education field for more than 30 years. Started as a teacher, worked in various capacities, head of departments, senior teacher, head of language support services, and then I retired as the head of 2 services, head of language support service and head of all Asian languages teaching service from Stanwell.
The work was fine because that was an area where I was gaining training, and I was trained to do the motor vehicle engineering, and it was good. At first it was good because he was actually doing the work, and you know, I was hydraulic and pneumatic machines. It was the heavy machinery and working and trying, then starting and working on engines and starting, and when it started, you know, first time that I've sort of worked on the engine, it was a good satisfaction that you get. Oh, brilliant, you know, this is something that I've done.
In every factory, I think there is some tendency that they have classified some jobs. So laborers and the menials jobs they give to the Indians, while the machines jobs and other jobs, writing jobs and office jobs, they gave to the English people, even though they are not qualified. So whenever I go, they say that this is the job you will get if you want to. Working conditions not so good, no good, because there is a mist, you know, smoky, and because in the West Midlands there are all the iron factories and steel factories, so mostly they are smoky and dirty all these things.
Yes, so I was put on a boiler which really was cleaning the rubber rings for the aeroplanes, and there were people who were earning bonus, so wanted quick jobs done, and I was very slow. So the management moved me to a storekeeper's job at night time, 7 to 7 every night, and they gave me one assistant storekeeper who was a captain in the Pakistani army.
जो पहले से जब आया 1954 में तो 3 पाउंड का बिक था, तुम कोई भी जगह पे जाओ 3 पाउंड का बिकता, तो बाद में 6 पाउंड हुआ, 9.5 पाउंड हुआ, जब मैंने छोड़ दिया 1980 में तो 9.5 से छोड़ा था, 40 ओवर का बिक था.
Then I came, 1974, 75. I came in back in Walsall, and in 75 I got a job in a leather factory in Walsall. That was my first job. I came as an engineer, but I couldn't find a job. But they say if you can operate a machine, and they put me a machine called a skiving machine for a leather trade. So they put me in a leather company, which was given me as a BPRO. You know, BPRO is a blind person resettlement officer, who has put me in that job. He comes to you and he puts you right in your whatever the aids and whatever the necessity you need to carry out that work. He puts you right. Any safety guards you want, anything to protect my health and what protect my blindness, he gives you equipment to go along with that work.
Yeah, I think I was in education till sort of 16. Although my father wanted me to carry on, but maybe I was perhaps more interested in the practical aspects of a career, and I was very sort of interested in knowing how things work, sort of engineering and that kind of thing did appeal to me. So I started left school at 16, and I remember my first job was at a bakery which was in Walsall, in the engineering department. And the reason I got the job there is because my mother, she used to do a few hours of cleaning work in the managing director of this company's house. Yeah, so he gave me a first job in the engineering department for bakery, and then while I was working there, I was applying for the jobs, and after about 6 months, 6 to 12 months, I left that, and I actually managed to get an apprenticeship at that time in electrical engineering in Birmingham.
It was a small job. It was an enamels factory or foundry, or I would rather say foundry. Used to make enamels. It was a small, very small firm, family factory. And I think there were about 10 people working. And when I had to do my first night there, I dozed off, you know. I went to sleep. And then the I think it was foreman or charge hand, the call used to call them. He said, what were you doing in India before you came? I said, I was a school teacher, so I said, I'm not used to, work at night. I never worked at night in the village. And even, in daytime, teaching is from 10 to 4 or something like that. That's it. No manual work, Even, I'm son of a farmer, but I never did actual farming work. Little bit help there, but not proper farming. I never did it. So he said, all right, and he used to take about 2 hours to prepare, enamels, and then he used to cool it down, changing, shoveling. So he used to say, you go and sleep there for a couple of hours, I look after it, don't worry about it. And then that place was closed down after 3 months, I think.
ਕੰਮ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਰਾਬ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲੀ ਮੈਂ ਤਕੜਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦਿਨ 2 ਦਿਨ ਮੈਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਹੱਥ ਤੇ ਲੱਗਾ ਤੇ ਮਨ ਚ ਆਇਆ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਮੰਗ ਕੇ ਖਾਣਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਤੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਫਸ ਗਿਆ ਯਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਇਹ 2 ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਤਨਖਾਹ ਮਿਲੀ ਤੇ ਹੌਲੀ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ 44 ਘੰਟੇ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ 11 pound 9 pence and 9 and 6 pence ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ 9 ਸ਼ਿਲਿੰਗਾਂ 6 ਪੈਨੀਆਂ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੱਟ ਕਟਾ ਕੇ 8 ਪੌਂਡ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਣੇ 50 ਪੈਨੀਆਂ ਰੈਂਟ ਦੇਣਾ 2 ਪੌਂਡ ਸਾਡਾ ਖਰਚਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਜੇ 5 ਜਾਂ 6 ਪੌਂਡ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਦੇ ਬਚਾ ਲੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿਣ ਬਈ ਬੜੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਬਚਾਏ ਯਾਰ ਤੇ 44 ਘੰਟੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੰਮ ਬਾਕੀ ਓਵਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਵੀ ਲਾ ਲੈਣਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਖਾਸ਼ ਇਹ ਸੀਗੀ ਪਈ ਪੈਸੇ ਕਮਾ ਕੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜਣੇ ਆ 4-5 ਸਾਲ ਲਾ ਲਈਏ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ
The immigrants had varied experiences of work and finding somewhere to live. The housing situation was difficult. Immigrants had to share overcrowded accommodation, especially when the men were here on their own. People who worked shifts sometimes shared beds, with one working whilst another was at home sleeping.
That time it was, all the Indian migration started coming in. So there was very few people had their own house. So we used to live about 8, 9, 10 people in the house, including him and his wife. And it's a difficult time. We used to have three or 4 people in a room. But what was it, half of us was doing the day and half of us was doing the night. So when we go to work, the night shifts come back and we use the same bed.
And
so the bed never go cold.
Yes, I lived the first, as I told you before, that there's a worse experience in lodging because then you are just not treated fairly, and the houses were damp, cold, and the facilities were not quite good, and there was no bath. The toilets were outside the house, and so I first gave priority to myself that if you want to live, I must have my own accommodation. So I bought a house within 2 years because the job was available. Though the mortgage or loan was through the bank, and the bank charged very high rate at that time, and the building society were very reluctant to advance loan to the immigrants. So anyhow, I bought the house and kept lodger and made some money. So I sold that house and bought my own house. And after the council was very generous, they gave us grant. It was old house, renovated, and I improved it and sold that house, and then bought this present out from the proceed of that, the sale of sale of the proceed of that house.
Accommodation, I think generally our people sort of went to see the people that they knew. So there were very few Asian landlords at the time, and they were sort of very much in demand. There was no question of going to any other rented accommodation, simply because you probably wouldn't be given accommodation if you're a black or Asian or what they used to term colored people. So they would probably sort of just say, sorry, no, rent accommodation. And also I think a lot of our people who didn't speak much English didn't feel sort of comfortable living in a very strange environment. So I think people sort of tended to stick where they felt safe, really. And that wasn't just in the household, but in social context in general.
Accommodation was it was okayish, but today it was overcrowded. It was overcrowded. You know, one house that when I arrived at the house, there were, I would say, 15-20 people were living in that house. Soon later, my father purchased a house on his own. It was my uncle's house when I first came, and my uncle, his name is Chaudhry Abdul Ghani. He's also my father-in-law. It was his house, and it was there was 15 to 20 people were living there. And then my father purchased his own house. It was again, there were lots of people living in that house because they were short of accommodations. Asian people, they couldn't, for some reason, access to the council housing, and they were just going private, and there weren't that many private landlords renting properties to the Asian and blacks those days.
We had a mid-terrace house. It was 3-bedroom. The third bedroom really you couldn't use because you had to walk through the third bedroom to go into the toilet and the bathroom. So it was effectively, we had a reception room, a sitting room, a kitchen, and we're actually fortunate in those days we had an inside toilet on the ground floor. Upstairs we had a master bedroom which was big, then a smaller bedroom, then kind of a box room, and the entrance into the bathroom and the toilet was through the box room. So effectively we really had 2 bedrooms.
There is a room, it is the room, me and 2 kids living in the room. We sharing the bathroom with the landlord. There were 2 other people living there. 1, 2, 3, 4th family living there. It's a big house, is 4 bedroom, 4 people living there. So we cooking in turn, you know, everything in turn. And the landlord is really good, not bad. And they told me that once a week you can bath, right? But myself, when I'm going to work in factory, near the factory there is a public bath. So since I'm never used in the bath when I'm leaving, but my kids and missus use it, and I'm going to public bath.
And people like the English people, they was very particular, you know, because the Indians, they used to eat garlic and I think the smell used to be on there. So they were always away, you know, like, and they wouldn't sell houses to Asians because I suppose they didn't know them, you know, and because in every nation there's good and bad. So they wouldn't want any Asian to come next door to them. So it was hard getting houses as well, like, you know, from anywhere, like.
Because so long as I was a lodger, so it was very worse because I had not seen the television, because at that time only that television was the white and black television, but the landlord only kept one television in the sitting room, and they see only his choice, and we can't see normally because he and his family will sit in the sitting room and they will see the choice, and they are normally fond of the wrestling and all things, no other pictures, no good pictures, no news as well. So normally very difficult getting in television and all these things.